Hi, I'm the Rawtarian from therawtarian.com, where I make super simple, satisfying raw food recipes. And today I'm going to be showing you one of my favorite granola bar style recipes, but it's an awesome, chewy sesame seed granola bar. So it's really awesome. And why is it awesome? Because it's very simple to assemble. We're going to combine all the dry ingredients into a bowl. Then we're going to add all the wet ingredients, stir it up, and then we're going to press it down into our dish, and then we're just going to pop it in the freezer, and then it's done. And it actually stays in the freezer all the time. You eat them cold right out of the freezer, and that just keeps them all together nice and hard, and it's super delicious. So first I'm going to start by just telling you what is actually in this recipe. So we do have a number of ingredients, and maybe I'll start just by talking about the dry ingredients first. So critical ingredient, 2 cups of sesame seeds. These are so critical because that's what's going to give it the really chewy, satisfying flavor that we're looking for. So then we also have 1 cup of raisins, and if you are not into raisins, you could do chopped dates or chopped apricots, whatever kind of dry fruit you like. We're also going to do about 1/2 cup of shredded coconut. If you're a coconut hater, you could use hemp seed hearts instead, or just bump up the sesame seeds a little bit more. So that is one of the dry ingredients. Then we have some ground flaxseed, and what that is going to do, it acts as a binding agent, and what that just means is it helps everything stick together. So that's why we're including that in the recipe. And then I guess salt constitutes a dry ingredient, so we're going to be using, I believe it's 3/4 of a teaspoon of Celtic sea salt, which is what I always use. I don't use regular table salt. Sea salt is the bomb. So that's the dry ingredients. Then the wet ingredients, we have a sweetener. I believe I'm using about 1/3 cup, and today I'm going to use maple syrup. You could use agave nectar. You could use honey, which is not vegan, but a lot of people will choose it in its raw, unpasteurized state because it's less processed. So we do have our sweetener. We have tahini, also a critical ingredient for this recipe because it gives it the flavor that we're looking for, really, and it adds a creaminess, so that's very important as well. Coconut oil, also a crucial recipe. Well, yes, it is a crucial recipe, but what I meant to say was it's a crucial ingredient because when we're going to freeze it, we are needing the coconut oil because coconut oil will harden when frozen, and then it's going to keep the bar frozen to the right texture when it's frozen. And then we have 1 teaspoon of pure vanilla extract, or if you have vanilla beans, fresh vanilla beans, you could use those as well, but this is just pure vanilla extract today. So I believe that's all the ingredients, and how we're going to do this, super easy. Putting all the dry ingredients in the bowl. Sesame seeds, 2 cups. That was easy. Our raisins, 1 cup. Shredded coconut. Now this is of course unsweetened, and we're going to go for about 1/2 cup. Okay, spoon. You will notice a lot of my recipes use coconut, dried, unsweetened, shredded coconut. And one of the reasons that is because it's kind of a nice substitute for flour in that it will bulk things up. And it's pretty inexpensive. It's very handy. I always keep a lot of coconut in the house. This is our 1/2 cup of the ground flaxseed. So you may have flax seeds that are whole in your kitchen cupboard, but really, actually, that might work in a pinch in this recipe, but I like to use ground. It just helps things stick together better. And I guess, what did I forget? You can remind me. The salt. We need to add the salt. I think it's 3/4 of a teaspoon. That's 1/2. And it's almost counterintuitive to add salt to a recipe, but it actually just really brings out the flavors. So even in my most simplest, this is actually quite a complex recipe for me. It's a lot of ingredients. I have a ton of raw recipes, sweet recipes that have like 3 or 4 ingredients and that are really easy, and salt is almost always one of them. It just isn't the same without it. So as you can see, it's just the dry mixture there. This is like so many ingredients for me that I'm like, whoa, because usually I keep things really, really simple. So we're gonna now add the wet ingredients, and this is the tahini. Tahini, really, as you probably know, it is sesame seeds, which were what is in there, that are just ground up, and they release so much oil, you can see. And again, just in case you were considering it, if you don't have tahini at home, you cannot substitute sesame seeds, because look at the texture difference. We really need this liquid creamy texture. But you could maybe in a pinch use cashew butter or almond butter that has the similar texture. Now the taste will not be as good because I love the taste of tahini in this recipe, but you could do it. Let's just get the vanilla in there and get that done. We'll maybe do the coconut oil. Oh, I haven't even mentioned that normally I'm doing these tutorials in my kitchen, but this was a gorgeous fall day here. I live on a 60-acre farm actually, and so we're just in part of my backyard doing this kind of for fun. But what I was gonna say is this coconut oil right now is just starting to liquefy a bit, and you can use it in either state. It solidifies when it's cool. So right now it's kind of half and half actually. So we just need a 1/4 cup. There we go. So again, this coconut oil is super crucial, and it is expensive to purchase, but generally if I get one of these huge vats, it lasts me for a really long time, and it opens up a whole new world of possibilities for cooking, for making raw recipes, so I totally recommend that. And I guess that's all the wet ingredients, except our sweetener. Now it is already pretty sweet thanks to the raisins, but I like things pretty sweet. So we're gonna go about 1/3 cup, or a little less, and that's maple syrup. But as I mentioned, you could use a different sweetener if you prefer. So that's it for the recipe, for the ingredients rather. And what we're gonna do is just mix it together. And what I have to say, as I mentioned, I definitely tend to make very simplistic recipes that have very few ingredients. Like, you know, I just made some drop cookies that are freezer cookies that had like 6 ingredients. So this is more than I normally use, but the flavors are just amazing. And I really just absolutely love the chewy texture of the sesame seeds. So I don't know if you can see that. We still have some harder chunks of the coconut oil that just need to be mixed together quite well. So I'm going to keep mixing a bit. But the general idea is that we mix and then we dump into our dish and then we freeze. And so we're going to keep the bars in the freezer for the whole duration of whenever you have them. So when you want to have a bar, you just open up the freezer and you can cut a slice of bar for yourself. So I'd say that is pretty good for mixing. And now got this glass dish. And I like to use a lot of, I don't know what the word is. Is it an adjective? I'm not good at my grammar words. I'm good at grammar, but I don't know how to describe them. But I like to use words like just dump it in the pan or like throw it in there. Because I find with cooking, it can be as sort of complicated or as easy as you want to make it. And I try to make things just easy to understand and more accessible to everybody. So we've got everything in the pan. I'm just going to spread it out loosely, and I'm using the back of a spoon. I have so many kitchen gadgets, and it's so funny that I just use the same really basic gadgets again and again, like a spoon and a big dish and a bowl. So you can see I've spread it down loosely, and there's definitely a place for hands in cooking. That's kind of, it feels so good sometimes to get your hands really in the food. So what we're gonna do is just press it down. I mean, we could use some kind of tool, like if you were grossed out by hands, you could use a clean base of a cooking cup, measuring cup, or whatever, but I'm more of a get your hands dirty kind of person. So it's going to be a little bit sticky, so you want to make sure to just do it quite gently but very firmly. So you're pressing everything down and making sure you get in the corners. And I hope this is coming through okay. Basically that's it. So I've pressed it down very firmly. And then we're just going to pop that in the freezer for at least an hour, but ideally you're just going to leave it in there, you know, for eternity, for its eternal life. So I'm going to just pause there and I'm going to take this to the freezer, freeze it up, and then we'll come back once it's been completely frozen. So I'll see you soon. And we're back. So I've had these sesame seed bars in the freezer for probably only about an hour, and they're actually quite firm. So here they are in all their glory. They are definitely sturdy, and that's thanks to the coconut oil. And so, like cutting any type of bar, not to gesture at you with the knife too violently, but like any type of bar, I usually find that getting out the first slice or the first piece is usually, that's the one you get to, it falls apart and you get to eat it. And I don't like to cut like everything. I don't know. I just like to cut whatever I want at that moment. So I do like to call these granola bars. And that was a strange way to cut, Laura Jane, but that's okay. So let's say that we're going to cut them into bar shapes. And they maybe could have gone, I can feel they're maybe not as hard. Like I said, they really have been in there for maybe 45 minutes or an hour. So I'm going to just, like what I call, sacrifice this one. So it's not, it's kind of crumbly. Maybe I'll put it here. But you can see that it does stay together, but it is a little bit not as firm. So I think if it had been frozen a little longer, it would stay together better than it is currently. But they do stay together. But yes, so if you are careful, which is not my specialty, being careful and, what's the word? Thorough. So yeah, I'm using kind of a spatula, and usually, like to get them out, I don't know what I'm doing, that I'm sacrificing, but I just want to show you I'm sacrificing the whole dish. This is kind of cracking me up, that you can get a bar out. So here, if you cut firmly off the sides, you can get a bar like this. But I think that I probably should have left them in there a little bit longer. And also you do want to be like sturdy when you're cutting. Definitely they are chewy, which is what I love about them. Like this. Is so good. And to me, it's the sesame seed. It gives it a lightness and a chewiness. So basically that's it. That was a bit of a gong show at the end. I kind of massacred this, but I think it needs to maybe go longer than I left it. And also it's very important, and it's a good reminder that when you're stirring everything, you really need to combine it so the tahini and the flaxseed and the coconut oil are getting everywhere. And I'm talking with my mouth full. So without further ado, that's it for this video. And thank you so much for being here with me, and I hope you enjoy your raw sesame seed bars.